New Japan Pro Wrestling may not be able to run the Tokyo Dome, but the likes of DDT, TJPW, and Pro Wrestling Noah decided they're going to run a very similar show called Cyberfight Festival 2021, and I got the chance to watch it. 6 hours of it, mind you. We're also going to be talking about that. New Japan Pro Wrestling Dominion just came up last week, and we're going to be touching on that as well. This coming weekend is Stardom Tokyo Dream Cinderella 2021, a show that got pushed back just about a month, so we're going to finally preview that show and what's to come, my predictions for what's going to happen this coming weekend. WWE Summerslam is confirmed to be WrestleMania 38, and AEW reaches its lowest numbers yet. We're going to be talking about all this and more here on the 51st edition of the Chill Spill Podcast. The S is silent, by the way. Yo, what is going on, guys? It is your boy Tyler Mask, aka Tyler Suplex. That's without the Tyler. Tyler's actually silent. It's just Suplex now, and that's SOOPLEX on TikTok and SOOPLEXX on Twitch.tv, aka Tyler-kun Williams, aka the one who lived. And guys, welcome back to the 51st edition of the Chill Spill Podcast. And that is pill spelled with an S, but it's silent, much like all the AEW fans were once they found out about the low ratings this week. I ain't gonna lie, I was one of them. I was like, oof, I'm gonna act like I didn't see that, but we'll talk about the low AEW ratings a bit later on and why that's the case. But I'll figure I'd start this review off. Review, show, podcast. It's the podcast, not a review, but a podcast. Figured I'd start the podcast off with a review. That's what I was trying to say. With a review of something I've been requested quite a bit for. Like, I had quite a few people asking me to talk about this show, even though I told them multiple times I don't know most of the people on this show, so it's going to be hard to really try and break down what's happening, who's doing what, who's doing who. But they insisted. I'm like, you know what? It's a big show for all these companies, and I'm a big proprietor. I'm a big supporter of wanting to watch other promotions, getting other promotions out there, all that kind of stuff. So I'm like, you know what? Fine, let's talk about it. So I sat down this morning, woke up at about 5 a.m., and sat at my keyboard basically watching this show, this 6-hour-long show that was Cyberfight Festival 2021. An amalgamation show of three of the biggest companies in Japan, not named New Japan, that being Pro Wrestling Noah, DDT, and TJPW. And overall, I thought it was a really good show. Maybe not great. You could say great, I guess, if you're really big into all these companies, but I'm going to say really good. Like I was saying earlier, I put emphasis on 6 hours long. I was not a fan of the length of this show. This show was really long, and you definitely feel that if you watch it during the day. Like for me, I knew I was not going to have time to watch this show unless I woke up early in the morning. Because number one, I worked during the day, so that wasn't going to happen. Even if I was not working during the day, which I was off today when I watched the show, I didn't want to spend most of my day watching the show. So I'm like, I might as well knock it out in the morning and then do the rest of my shit in the day. And secondly, you're not going to watch it at night because you're not going to be up till 3, 4 in the morning watching the show. So it's like the only option you have is to watch it in the morning, which is, in North America, that's usually the time when these Japanese shows happen, so it makes the most sense. So I woke up around like 5 a.m. to watch this show, got done around 11 a.m., and I'm here to talk about it with you guys. Once again, just a quick disclaimer. I am a fan of Japanese pro wrestling. I mainly watch New Japan Pro Wrestling. I mainly watch Stardom. I've only seen DDT a handful of times. I've only seen Noah once or twice. I've seen TJPW matches, not even shows. So if I butcher these names, do not try and rake me over the coals. I do not know who these people are. If I mix up these people, please do not hang that over my head. I'm letting you know right now. This is requested, so I'm watching it. I enjoyed it. But there's a difference between, enjoying what you watch and then having to give a whole paragraph essay on what you watch. And when you don't understand the assignment all that well, it's kind of hard to do that. like I said, I enjoyed the show, but it's not gonna be a cakewalk for me doing this review. But I hope you guys enjoy it. You guys better smash the like. We better have like 50 likes on this video for me talking about this damn show. So y'all better like this video as soon as you hear this part of the podcast. But let's talk about it. Cyberfight Festival pre-show. This happened, I believe. I want to say this happened last Sunday or Saturday. It was definitely last Sunday when the show happened. One day before Dominion, so it wasn't direct competition, but it practically was the competition for New Japan. And we start off with the pre-show match. We had a 8-woman tag. We had the team of Mirai, I'm gonna butcher these names. Give you guys a heads up. Mirai, Miyumi, Suzumi, Arisu Endo, and Haruna Nika. Oh, and Moka Miyamada. My bad. 10-woman tag versus Kaya Tirabama, Miharu Kiru, Neo Kakuda, Pam Harajuku, and Raku. This is going to be terrible. Anyway, so the opening 10-woman tag match, I thought it was enjoyable. I thought they brought a lot of action to the table. It was a nice opening match. Then here's where it gets sticky because I don't know who's who. I know what teams, but the thing about these matches, these multi-man tag matches in Japan and sometimes even in America, is that you'll have people come out at the same time. So it's like if you're a new fan and you don't know who individually these people are, you only know that's the team. That's the team. And you know what makes it worse is that this is in Japanese commentary. So it's not like I had Americans like, oh, this is this person, this is that person. I didn't understand what they were saying. So how was I supposed to know who's who? So I had to write down the girl in the purplish blue gear won the match at the Lariat because I don't know her name. And I honestly didn't even remember what team she was on. So that's even worse. But that was a good opening match. Then we got into the delayed entry battle royale, also on the pre-show. We had out first was Yoshiaki Yatsu and Makoto Oshii. In the sequence of entries, we had Yuya Korokura. This is going to, guys, I swear to God. Korokuru. One guy who I actually popped real hard for this guy. Kazuki Harada. Now, I popped really hard because, number one, this guy came down to the ring on a hoverboard. And I'm sitting here like, is this 2016? Like, who uses hoverboards? I remember being in college when hoverboards were like really, really cool. Like, I don't know. Do people even still use hoverboards? I don't see them in North America. Are they popular in Japan these days? I don't think they're popular in North America anymore. I think the fad is over. But the hoverboard didn't really pop me all that much. It popped me a little bit, but it didn't pop me that much. What popped me is the guy's theme song. Because if you guys watch my Japan vlogs, I went to my very first Japanese wrestling show, basically my second day in Japan, and it was a DDT show. When I arrived to Tokyo Dome City, right next to as soon as you walk in, you see the Korakuen Hall. Now, upon arrival, I didn't have any tickets to a Korakuen Hall show because I didn't know Korakuen Hall was running any shows that week. I mean, I knew they were, but none of the New Japan shows were running that weekend in Korakuen Hall. So I'm like, I don't know. Now, that day I arrive, I see these people waiting outside, and I'm like, oh, what is everybody waiting for? They're like, oh, we're waiting to, buy a ticket for this DDT show. And I'm sitting here like, oh, DDT's running a show. I know about DDT. Kenny Omega's from DDT. Kodabushi's in DDT. This Chris Brooks guy I know wrestles in DDT. Like, I'm familiar. And I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'll buy a ticket to the show. Why not? So I buy a ticket to the show. And mind you, I'm running on no sleep. Because my first night in Japan, I slept at an airport hotel. And it was so disgusting and uncomfortable. I didn't sleep that night. So I'm running on practically 36 hours of no sleep. Now, I had a good enough, I don't want to say high energy, but I had good enough energy throughout the day to make it from point A to point B to point C to point D to point E to get to Tokyo. Because I had to make it from Narita all the way to Tokyo. That was I would say a 3 to 4 hour travel day for me. And by the time I made it to my hotel room, I'm loaded, all this stuff, started editing my videos. Then I went back out for the DDT show. And when I got to the show, I was so tired and drained. I seriously was suffering from narcolepsy during the show. Because there were times where, and I was on the standing room only section. I didn't actually buy a seat because they were sold out. So I had to buy a standing room only seat. Standing room only section, whatever. So I was at the very top of Koika Hall, and I remember during the show, I was in and out of sleep, standing up. Like, I've never been that tired in my entire life. There were 2 points where I remember literally blacking out, and like my body just started shifting forward. I'm just sitting here like I have no control over my body shifting forward, but I had enough control to stop myself from falling. Like, I almost fell on these people in front of me 2 different times. And the second time, I'm like, okay, that's enough. I got to go home. I got to go to my hotel. Like, I'm too tired to do this show. So I literally left that show like basically an hour and a half into it. I didn't actually sit there for the whole DDT show. But of the entire show, if there's one thing I remember, was the guy Kazuki Hirata. I remember his theme song, and I remember when he came out, he started dancing. He started dancing to this song, go, 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 go. And I'm like, oh, okay, he's dancing, cool moves, whatever. So when he came down to and I heard the theme song, it gave me a flashback to the DDT show. And I'm like, that's the guy, that's the guy, that's guy. And I didn't know his name. I'm like, that's the guy, that's the guy. So when he came out, I'm like, I'm singing to the theme song. I'm like, yeah, this guy's gonna fucking win. Let's go. Then everybody else started coming out. So after him was Muhammad Yone. And I remembered him from the last Pro Wrestling Noah show. He was the guy who looks like Tiger Jackson. I'm like, hey, let's go. So we started getting some other guys out here. Shui Taniguchi. I'm not going to list all the names. But he started getting some other guys out there. We saw a lady by the name of Saki Akai. And I'm sitting here like, isn't that the girl who either faced off or teamed with Chris Brooks? I'm not familiar with her, but I know I've seen her before. We then had a guy named Toru Owashi. And I didn't know who this guy was, but I knew that theme song. Because it took me like 15 seconds. Because I'm sitting here like, there is no way this guy is coming out to Darude Sandstorm. But on God, this guy came out to the theme song of Darude Sandstorm. And I'm sitting here like, bro, this could be the greatest show I've ever seen. We've had the guy coming on hoverboard. We had Tiger Jackson from Tekken. Now we're having Darude Sandstorm. Everybody remembers the crazed Darude Sandstorm, where people would be like, hey, what song is this? And he would link them to Darude Sandstorm. How many... I'm curious now. How many views does Darude Sandstorm have on YouTube? Like, that's one of the biggest trolls of 2000s. If someone ever asked you, what's the song to, like, someone be hearing like a song in the street or over there, be like, oh, what's the song? And then you would link them to Darude Sandstorm. Hold on. Darude Sandstorm. What's the viewer count on it? 207 million. I would think it would have more views than that, but I guess not. I thought it would have more views than that, but anyway. So I can't tell you much of what happened. I was just excited to see a few people in this battle royal. My man Hirata, though, he got to do his dance. I mean, mid-match too. He started, the lights dimmed, the multicolored spotlights came on. He started doing a dance. Go, 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 go. And I'm sitting here like cheering him on. There's this guy behind him respectfully just standing there waiting for him to get done. I'm like, yeah. He's respectfully doing it. Then as soon as the damage is over, he got enziguried in the face and pinned and eliminated. I'm like, damn, that's rough. But the winner of the match was Antonio Honda. A fairly big name, maybe even pretty big name. I know I heard that name before. Antonio, hold on. I know I heard the name before. Antonio, should have did the research for Honda. Japanese. Okay, so he wrestles for DDT. I'm like, I know the name Antonio Honda. So he won the battle royal. Good for him. That's all I can really say. Then on the last match of the pre-show, you have Katsumura, Sushiro Katsumura, Kyuki Owasaka, Yomohito Inamari versus Ken Oka, Kisuke Ishii, and Shota. I saw the name Shota and got excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, Shota Unomo's back. But I'm like, wait a minute, he signed to New Japan. That's not Shota Unomo. And I'm like, oh. It's a different Shota guy. All right, cool. This match is okay. One dude hit a mega, like, lifting DDT, and that was pretty cool. He secured the dub for his team. So, yeah, that was the opening, pre-show. It was all right. Let's get into the main show, Cyberfight Festival. Opening match in here. We had Yuki Ino and Tuki Kojima versus Junta Miyawaki and Kinya Okada. That might have been the easiest pronunciation I had this entire podcast so far. I'm only familiar with the Kinya Okada guy because I remember him from the last Pro Wrestling Noah show. Now, this was the start of the DDT versus Noah show. The Yuki Ino and Tuki guy, they're from DDT, and Junta and Kinya Okada are from Noah. The most impressive guy in this match was Junta Miyawaki. Now, he may have been on that Pro Wrestling Noah show I saw back in February as well, and I might not just be remembering him. But he impressed me a lot. He had a lot of stiff strikes in here. He ended up locking an armbar onto Yuki Ino and tapped him out. I'm like, yeah, okay, that Junta guy's pretty well. Kinya Okada, he was okay. I mean, I remember him from the last match, like the last show, and he did well in that too. So, Pro Wrestling Noah won this match, so they got 1 point. Then we got to TJPW. We had Rina Tatsumi and Miyu Watanabe versus Shoko Nakajima and Hyper Misawa versus Yuki Aino and Nodoka Tenma. So in this match, the only two women I'm familiar with were Miyu Watanabe, and that's only by name. I'm only familiar with her in name only. I've seen no matches of her up until this point. And Shoko Nakajima, who I only know of because of her one match she had in AEW with Britt Baker. I think it was Britt Baker, or I think it might have been her and Britt Baker versus B. Priestley and somebody else, or B. Priestley and Shoko versus Britt Baker and somebody else. Anyway, she was in AEW for like one match, and that's where I remember that name from. This match was good. It was a very high energy, very high action tag team match. I actually enjoyed this match a lot more than I would say I enjoyed a lot of the matches on the undercard. Miyu Watanabe, she was, I don't know what the fuck this girl was on, but she was on one this entire match, bro. I mean, I wrote down in my notes. I've heard a lot about this Miyu Watanabe girl, so it was nice to see her finally wrestle, even if it could be easily drowned out by the other 7 minute. I can't speak today. Cannot speak ever, really. Even if she could be easily drowned out by the other 7 women in the ring, it was nice to see her wrestle. I wrote that prematurely because I was thinking, like, I'm not going to really see much from her. But, bro, this girl was going at everybody in the match. It was so hard not to take your eyes off of her. She had some girl did a crossbody onto her. Now, she's not small, but she ain't big either. She ain't a big girl. She ain't a small girl. Not really average size, but she's also, like, a short in height. So this girl's in a crossbody. I'm like, all right, she's gonna sell it. Miyu catches this woman, pure strength, and puts her in, like, basically throws her into the corner. I'm like, what the fuck? Then she gets this other woman on the ground, and she does a motherfucking Cesaro swing onto this girl. And I mean, she's getting velocity on this, because you know Cesaro, I love the guy to death. Cesaro, his swings vary. Sometimes it could be a really good swing where he's swinging the guy around for like 15, 20, 25 rotations, getting good speed and all. Sometimes it's one of those swings where it's like, okay, he's, turning him around every like 1 or 2 seconds. Then he gets one of those slow swings where it's just like, okay, he's just kind of like twirling him. This girl got fucking velocity. She was going fast as hell. And then her tag partner came into the ring mid-swing and put the knees up and kneed her right in the damn head. And I'm saying, Mia was going so fast, I was almost concerned for the girl's knees, because I'm like, you gonna shatter your fucking knees on this girl's head as fast as she going. The goddamn. Shoko Nakajima showed out here too, but I was impressed as hell by Miyu Watanabe. So she got a fan in me. I'll keep my eye on her. Rest assured of that. Shoko Nakajima ended up winning the match with a leaping senton off the top rope onto somebody, and she got the win for her team. So big shout out to Shoko Nakajima and Miyu Watanabe. Their performances in this match were very much noticed by me. I'll keep my eye on both of you, especially you, Watanabe. Your name's Watanabe, though, so you might want to be careful. Might want to change your last name. Especially if you ever want to go to Stardom, you might want to do that. Anyway, so we have Danshuko Dino and Super Sando Machine of DDT versus Takashi Sujira and Kazushi Sakuruba. Now, these two are part of Team Noah, with Go Shiozaki and Neomuchi Marafuji, as far as I'm concerned. So I'm familiar with both of these guys. Not so much the DDT team. So I'm kind of rooting for Team Noah here. This match was kind of goofy. It was kind of goofy. The Super Machine guy starts off with a promo. Now, I don't understand Japanese, So I'm just sitting here like, okay, now this guy's talking for like 2-3 minutes, pulls out a laptop. He's showing me some PowerPoint article about his opponents. I'm like, bro, I'm skipping ahead. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what the concept of what's going on, so I'm skipping ahead. I skip ahead, then I see Takashi and Kazushi are both in the ring with those strong style machine masks on. I'm like, okay, this is gonna be a comedy match. So the machine guy is trying to play up for comedy. He's bringing in this bat, and he's bringing in these pantyhose. He's bringing in all this type of shit, and you see that Sejira and Sakuraba are not trying to play that shit. They trying to get this match underway. They're like, bro, we trying to get out here. We trying to do our stuff. We trying to get the hell out of here and get paid. Like, what are you doing? And they're not trying to play for it. Then they start playing into it a bit. And then they stop. I don't know. This match kind of turned me off. I wasn't feeling it. I am a big supporter of all wrestling. Even though I am not too big on deathmatch wrestling, I even support deathmatch wrestling to an extent. I think there's a place for every style of wrestling in professional wrestling. It's just a matter of timing and how you feel about it. And here, I was not really feeling the comedy. So I ain't gonna lie to you guys, I was not a big fan of this match. I ain't gonna hold you. Takashi ended up winning the match with the angle slam. So Team Noah got another win. Then we got to a singles match. Hideki Otani of DDT versus Masa Kitamiya of Noah. And this was very quick. I think this may have been like 2 minutes maybe at the most. Masa ended up putting down my man very quickly and got the win for Noah. Like, it wasn't even worth really talking about. Masa got the win here. He looked very strong. I wouldn't be surprised if they're setting him up for a push soon, because it was company versus company. Usually in these type of matches, you don't see squash matches, but it was basically a squash match here. I was shocked by that. I was shocked by that result. But Noah basically has like 3 back-to-back wins here. I'm like, oh, that's surprising. Then begins to TJPW again. We have Hikari Noah, Mizuki, which is basically Riho in stilettos, and Yuki Arai versus Maki Ito, Yuki Kamifuku, and Marika Kobashi. It was so blessed, so lit to see Maki Ito and her backup dancers performing in front of this crowd, in front of me at home. I was very, very hyped to see this performance. Maki Ito was the shining star of this match. She's gotten better. I do have to say that I don't think she's the best wrestler in the world. I think she's one of the best characters in Japan right now. But from the last time I seen her, she's definitely gotten a little bit better in the ring. She had a lot of spots in here. She ended up winning the match with her Kokeshi off the top rope and locked in a Lion's Tamer and tapped out one of the opposing teams. So Team Maki won this match. I was excited for her. I'm like, yeah, let's go, Maki, let's go. Then we got into more matches to go. We got into the next match. Atsushi Kotega, Daisuke Harada, and Hajime Ohara of Pro Wrestling Noah. I think this is a Pro Wrestling Noah match. Versus Yoshinari Ogawa, Hayata, Undertaker, basically Japanese Undertaker, and Seki Shoyoka. I only say Japanese Undertaker because of the eyeliner and black gear. He looks nothing like the Undertaker, or wrestles nothing like the Undertaker for that matter. This was the bathroom break match for me. I ain't gonna lie. To y'all. I took a bathroom break and I came back and I was on my phone. I ain't paid too much attention to this match. Kodage, Harada, and Ohara won this match. The Kodabushi color scheme dude, he won the match for his team. I thought he was alright from what I saw, but I didn't pay no mind. Then we got to the DDT match. We had Chris Brooks, Shunma Katsumata, and Mao, or MAO, one of the two, I think it's Mao, versus the homie, Tetsuya Naito Endo, Soma Takao, I'm going to disrespect a lot of Endo fans with that one, Soma Takao, and Daisuke Sasuke. Let me take that back, because Tetsuya Endo is the shit. I may have not seen a plethora of Tetsuya Endo matches, but the ones I have seen, he's always killed it. Especially his match that he had with, was it Takashita? He had a match at 2019 Peter Pan that was so excellent, so great. And I wish I could remember who his opponent was, but yeah, it's a great match at the 2019 Peter Pan. I thought he was a ball of fire in this match. The Daisuke guy was also really good. His interactions with Mao, they killed it. They were very hard hitting. The match ended when Mao ended up hitting a tilt swirl onto Daisuke. but he got him down mid tilt-a-whirl and locked him in this modified crossface and got the submission victory for his team. So Miles' team got the win. I didn't see a lot of Chris Brooks in here, which is disappointing, but hey, that's how it goes. Then we got into the next match. Akito, Sashiro Takagi, Katsuda Higuchi, Naomi Yoshimura, Yukio Sakaguchi, and Yukio Naya of DDT. This is Team DDT versus Team Noah here. Versus Team Noah. Manabu Soya, Tadasuke, Neo, Hao, and Keno. The triple threat faction there. And my man, Katsuhiki. Wow, I botched my man's name. Oh my god. Katsuhiko Nakajima. I can't believe I did that. I can't believe I just botched his name like that. But that's what happens. You have so many Japanese names on one card and you don't know how to pronounce any of these names. So please forgive me once again. Bro, I ain't gonna hold you. During this show, I heard the Stone Cold Steve Austin glass break. It said, I'm like, whoa, hold on. My eyes opened up real wide. I'm like, wait a minute, Stone Cold ain't coming on this fucking show. And then they played some other theme song and DDT came out. I was so mad. I wanted to see them lose. I ain't gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. I want to see them lose real badly after that. This was a really good tag team match. Even though there was a lot of people in this match, a lot of names to follow, a lot of people to try to follow what was going on. I enjoyed this match a lot. Very well paced. Everybody got their moves in. I got to see Nakajima do his kicks, which are always nice to see. I got to see Keno outside the ring, no selling for this one guy. He looked like a beast. Manabu Soya looked like a beast as well. The Yukio Naya, it was one of the Yukio guys. He was tall, blonde hair, and had black gear on. Black boots, black knee pads, black wrist tape. I don't know which one of the Yukio guys it was, but he impressed me the most at the DDT side. This guy had vicious high knees, went straight at everybody. He impressed me the most out of Team DDT. So I gotta look up who he was and like maybe possibly look into his work if I start following DDT more. But this match was really good. We even got the legendary Yoshiko. The legendary doll himself, Yoshiko, made his appearance on this show. Got a move in. That was cool. I'm going to say it was Yukio Sakaguchi. He got the pin in this match. Did he? Or was it? Yeah. What was it him? I don't remember if it was him or somebody else. I think it might have been somebody else who got the pin over Neo with a sit-out powerbomb and got the win for Team DDT. So they basically bounced back from their 3 straight losses, and DDT got the win here. Like I said, really good tag team match. I enjoyed this. Then we got into the main matches on this show. I was mainly and originally going to watch only these matches, but I'm like, I'm going to watch the whole show. So then we got into the bread and butter. Konosuke Takashita and Yuki Ueno versus Kaito Kiyomiya and Yoshiki Inamura. This match was fucking great. I love this match. It was high action all the way around. Everybody was young and boastful. Kaito, I finally got to see what Kaito was about, because when I first saw Kaito, it was against me. So many names. It was against Kaiji Mudo. And it was just not a good showing, because Kaiji Mudo is old and broken down, and I'm burying the hell out of Kaiji Mudo here. He's a legend. But like, it was not a good match. It was not a good showing for that guy. Yuki Ueno, I've seen a match or two of his, and I'm like, okay, I know what he can bring to the table. And Konosuke Takashita, I've seen a few matches of his, both in DDT and AEW. And then the Yushi Inamura guy I was new to, so that was basically an eye-opener for me, and he impressed me a lot in this match with his power game. He was the one who stood out a lot because he was the most different from the pack. Because Kaito, he's a high flyer. Konosuke, he's not a high flyer per se, but he can. He's mostly a striker. And then Yuki Ueno is a high flyer too, so it's like everybody kind of had their distinct version of high flying, except for Inamura, and that's kind of where I had a lot of my eye on him, and he did a lot in this match. Everybody shined. And I didn't put down a lot of notes because, once again, when you go into these matches when you don't know people that well, it's hard to take notes. But I enjoyed this a lot. It was Kiyomiya ending out the match, hitting a high angle slam, a high angle driver onto Yuki, but he kicked out of it. No, I got it backwards. I think Kiyomiya got hit with that driver, and he kicked out of it. Then Yuki Ueno went to the top rope, hit a moonsault onto Kiyomiya, and got the pin. Getting the win for Team DDT was Yuki Ueno and Konosuke Takashita. Well, I ain't gonna lie, I was a little disappointed. I was kind of rooting for Kaito Kiyomiya, but I ain't disappointed because the opposing team, they're really good together. Then we got to the triple main event, starting off with the women. TJPW, the Princess of Princess Championship, Miyu Yamashita versus Yuka Sakazaki. This, bar none, was the match of the night. You can make an argument for many other matches on this show, but I will say to your face, this was the best match on the show. And both of these women fucking killed it. Yuka Sakazaki, I've seen plenty of her work, and she's always great. But in this match, she pulled out everything she had. Not only was she an awesome, amazing seller, like perfect storytelling in her face, her visuals, her body language, even her moves she was doing. Miyu Yamashita, she was out here like stiffing the hell out of Yuka Sakazaki in this match. From the roundhouse kicks, the high knees, everything. Even one point, Yuka just straight up punched her in the face. It was hard hitting. It was a little bit slow in the beginning, but I had a feeling it was going to be one of those matches where they got to build up to that, it's a typical Japan match where they had that slow build to the high spots. And when you got to it, it felt like a great payoff because they really brought everything to the table. And I can't say enough great things about this match. I highly recommend everybody go watch this match if you have time. I would say Miyu Yamashita rounded out this match with 2 running high knees straight to the face of Yuka Sakazaki and got the win to retain the Princess of Princess Championship. Once again, a great match. Definitely my favorite match of the entire show. Miyu and Yuka, afterward, they were kneeling on the mat, and I'm sitting here like, oh, Miyu's going to shake her hand. They're going to have, like, But then Yuka slaps her in the face and walks off. I'm like, wait a minute, Yuka? Wait a minute, you the genie. You the gypsy. Are you coming with me? Like, she the baby face. What you doing? What are you doing? You can't be smacking people in the face after the matches. Not gonna lie, I was kind of hurt by that. I was kind of hurt by Yuka's actions. She should explain herself in English because I don't understand Japanese. But anyway, we gotta get into the co-main event of the evening. Jun Akiyama versus Harashima for the KOD Openweight Championship representing DDT. Jun Akiyama is the champion going into this match against challenger Harashima. Now, it's going to sound like a sin, but I am not familiar with Jun Akiyama. I'm familiar with his work in NJPW. I have seen approximately 1 match of his. And Harashima, I'm completely new. So this was like a whole new world. Yeah, Aladdin. A whole new world for me with these 2 wrestlers. Jun Akiyama is like 50-something. He's definitely up there in age. Harashima, he's on the younger side. Not super young, but definitely on the younger side. Definitely a nice clash of styles. I enjoyed this match a lot. Even for 53 years old, Jun Akiyama is still going, still trucking it. He won the match with the guillotine choke and retained the KOD Openweight Championship. Is it enough to get me to watch DDT? I don't know, but I will say this much. The DDT side impressed me a lot. TJPW definitely opened my eyes. I feel like it's been a lot of matches from TJPW have been coming my way in the last few months that almost like gravitated me to watch a full-length TJPW show. So I'm holding out. I'm holding out for whatever their biggest show is going to be. I think it's Tokyo Princess Cinderella, whatever, which already happened. So I think I missed the boat. But whatever their next big show is, y'all let me know so that way I might check it out. But DDT as well. I think the sign was there when I went to the show in Korakuen Hall, but I gotta follow that Harada guy. I gotta follow him. He's gonna win a championship shoot. He should be the guy to beat Jun. He should be the guy to beat Jun Akiyama. That's all I know. But then we got to the main event of the evening. Kaiji Mudo versus Neomuchi Marafuji for the GHC Heavyweight Championship representing Pro Wrestling Noah. Kaiji Mudo, the legendary wrestler that was and still is, the great Muda. Neomuchi Marafuji. I've seen a good sum of matches from in his older days and both in his current days. So I knew what both men were capable of. more or less. Marafuji can do more than Mudo. I thought they had a good. It was definitely the best Mudo match I've seen of the last year of matches I've seen from Mudo. So that's a good thing. You know, Marafuji, I hate saying it, but kind of carried him throughout this match, and I thought they had a really good one. There was one point where Marafuji had this like really big burst of sequence moves. Like he had a kick, then a knee, then a chop, then a knee. And my man, I thought Mudo was gonna pass the fuck out the way he was stumbling for a second. Yeah, my man stumbling and cackling and shit. But my man Marafuji, he pulled him through. He dragged them all the way to the end of this damn match. And Marafuji ended up getting the win. I did not take down what the finish was, but he got the win in this match. And Marafuji is the new GHC Heavyweight Champion, much to my excitement, because I said I am willing to give Noah a chance when Mudo is not the champion. So now that Marafuji's a champion, that's a good thing. One presence on this show that I realized right off the bat was Go Shiozaki. And I asked on Twitter what's going on with him. People said he's injured. He might be out for the rest of the year, which is disappointing. Hopefully my hoping is that we will get a Marafuji versus Shiozaki match at some point, because that sounds like a banger to me. But overall, that Cyberfight Festival show, that would have benefited from being like 2 hours shorter and cutting out like 4 to 5 matches. However, I enjoyed the show overall. I would give it a solid 8 out of 10. Not 8.5, but 8 out of 10. I would recommend this show to the hardest of hardcore Japanese Puro fans. I would not recommend this show to an average wrestling fan or a casual fan or somebody just trying to get into Japanese wrestling, because this was confusing as hell. And I feel like they may be like, you know, a little disinterested in that first half, because that first act was nothing to brag about. The first act of that show was nothing to brag about. Second act was okay. Third act practically saved it. The third act was phenomenal. It was great. A lot of good shit was in that last act with those last 4 to 5 matches. But it was first crop, yeah. Man, I think if the first crop didn't happen, I think I probably gave this show like an 8.5 or a 9 possibly. But that's shit at an 8, which is still great. That's still a great rating for a show. But that's what I would say. Cyberfight Festival 2021, 8 out of 10. Would recommend to hardcore Puro fans. If there's a Cyberfight Festival 2022, I'll check it out, definitely. But not a fan of 6-hour shows. That much I will say. Future reference, 4 to 5 hours is that sweet spot, especially for pay-per-views. Definitely 4 hours. Push 5 if it's the biggest show of the year. I understand 3 wrestling companies coming together. Okay, yeah, you can make an argument. Yeah, 6 hours, but still. 6 hours is 1/4 of an entire day. That's a long-ass show. But anyway, guys, that was my review of Cyberfight Festival 2021. Let's now talk about New Japan Pro Wrestling Dominion 2021. So, I ain't even going to cap to you guys. I only watched the last 3 matches of Dominion. I know, I'm sorry. Listen, I know. I'm not really that big into New Japan right now. You guys know this. This isn't news to any of you. So yeah, I did skip the first 3 tag matches on the show. I only went to the singles matches, which were El Desperado versus Yo for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. This is a no-brainer. We all knew El Desperado was going to retain. I don't think anyone in their right mind thought Yo was going to be the new champion. But they had a good match. It was nice to see Yo back in action, and singles action, that is. We only ever see him in singles when it's time for BOSJ, which is one thing I kind of hate about New Japan, is that when you're in a tag team, and that goes for heavyweight or junior heavyweights, if you're in a tag team, you're almost non-existent as a singles wrestler. Like, look at the junior heavyweight division. You look at the junior heavyweight tag teams. You have Yo and Shills or Punky 3K. You have Taiji Shimori and El Phantasmo of Bullet Club. You have Yoshinobu Kanemaru and El Desperado of Suzuki-gun. And outside of El Desperado, who I don't believe is the junior heavyweight tag team champions anymore. Yeah, they lost the titles to Yo and Cho. Outside of Despy and maybe El Phantasmo, how many of those tag team guys actually wrestle singles matches that are not in BOSJ? They really don't. They really don't. But that's kind of the state of the junior heavyweight division in New Japan in general, is that unless it's a tournament, they don't really give a shit about the junior heavyweight division. They give them 2-3 storylines a year. All of them revolve around the junior heavyweight championship. I don't. It's not even worth that bag of worms even being open, because we already know where we're going there. But back to my point. I thought they had a really good match. El Desperado targeted Yo's leg throughout most of it. Of course, El Desperado targeting the leg because Yo was out with a leg injury for most of the year. He got injured last year during New Japan's return in like mid 2020, and then he came back, I believe, I want to say very beginning of this year. He came back at the very beginning or closer to mid this year. So this would be like a big match for him. And I think Yo is really good in the ring, but I always preferred Sho. Sho is more all-rounded than Yo is. Like, it's hard to describe. Sho is much more versatile, I think, than Yo is. But I think Yo has potential. I think we won't really know how much potential he has, though, until they're on their own by themselves. Like I know Sho can succeed on his own. We've seen that. It's Yo that's the case. I don't know how he'll do by himself. I'm sure he may do well. I don't know about winning a junior heavyweight championship, but we'll see in due time. All I know is when Sho becomes the junior heavyweight champion, which may not be for another 4 to 5 years, knowing this damn company, his first opponent lined up should be Yo. Yo and Sho, singles match. I know they've had one in the past, but that was a long time ago. Let's get another one under their belt. I'm ready for Sho to kick Yo's ass again. But that being said, El Desperado did end up defeating Yo with the Pinche de Loco to get the win and retain the junior heavyweight championship. El Desperado's been holding on to that championship, I believe, I want to say since February or March, because remember, Hiromu had to relinquish the championship because he's out with an injury. So Desperado hasn't been holding on to that championship for too long, but I haven't really felt like he's had this, like, you know, illustrious reign as champion. But then again, I can't really speak on it because I haven't really been watching New Japan like that. So I guess I have to leave it at that, because I really wanted to say, oh, he hasn't been having. I'm like, I can't really speak on it too much. Can't speak on it too much. So let's move on to the next match, which was Kodabushi versus Jeff Cobb. Now, on the surface, this match really has no stakes. We know why this match happened and what the stakes were after it, but we didn't really know why they were facing off outside of, oh, we need to get, you know, the Empire looking strong in some way with their leader being injured, because as you guys know, Will Ospreay being the leader of the United Empire, he's out of injury, had to relinquish the championship, so they kind of have no leader right now. And I guess you could say de facto leader in that sense would be the Great Khan, who was kind of the second to Will Ospreay, but even then, it's like they kind of just feel like they're on free roam right now. Like, we don't really know what the United Empire is doing. So in this match, you know, they've had a fair share of matches, G129, G130. I think they may have had a match outside of the G1 climax before. They've always had really good matches in here. This was no different. Kodabushi did end up defeating Jeff Cobb with the Kamaguye, and he made it on to after the show, which we'll talk about in a second. But let's get into the main event of Dominion, which was Kazuchika Okada versus Shingo Takagi for the vacated IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion. Winner of the match will become the third champion in history, the first being Kodabushi, who was the one to unify the IWGP not the World Heavyweight, but just the IWGP Heavyweight and Intercontinental Championship back in March of this year, much to the dismay of many, many wrestling fans. And the second champion being Will Ospreay, who had to relinquish the championship. So, championship has not really been on a good start, let's say that much. Because Kodabushi's reign only lasted about 3 months, and it wasn't anything substantial. And then it went straight to a guy who relinquished the championship. So, yeah, we've been off to a rocky start with this heavyweight championship thus far. It's almost like it's been plagued or something. I don't know. But this could be seen as almost a reset, depending on which direction you go. New Japan, many fans will say, is in a rut right now. Creatively, I don't know about financially, but at least in the sense that numbers are down. The numbers for drawing in crowds, the attendance is down. Like, New Japan is not at its peak. It is not at its peak right now. It's actually a little far from the peak right now. So we can do I don't want to say a fresh start, because God knows New Japan doesn't know what the fuck that is. But, you know, kind of a fresh slate in the sense with Shingo being a champion. Or we can go back to status quo and be like, well, we got to put the champion back on the guy who carried New Japan into the grace period, which was Kazuchika Okada. We got to put the championship back on him. Maybe that'll get fans to start watching again. So it's like, well, what direction are they going? And in my head, you know, it made sense for Okada to win the championship. He's been without it for about 2 years now. Hasn't really been doing much. I wouldn't have wanted to see him win it, but I'm like, oh, it makes sense. I wouldn't be like, upstraught. Did I make that word up? Upstraught? Upstraught? I think I think I mixed up abstract and distraught. I don't know how that came to be. I wouldn't be distraught if he won it, but I wouldn't be like, happy. I'd be rather happy if Shingo won it, because Shingo is something new, something fresh. New Japan needs fresh matches, fresh storylines, fresh faces. Shingo Takagi has not won a heavyweight championship in New Japan. The only championship he's won that's a singles has been the Never Championship, but that was when the Never Championship really didn't mean much. You know what I mean? He wrestled all of Ishii, Goto, and Taichi for it. That's basically all he wrestled for the championship, which they were all really great matches, but he wasn't a main eventer. Shingo Takagi, since he stepped foot in New Japan Pro Wrestling, screams main eventer to me. Always having bangers, always has that presence to him. He has some of the best matches of the year. You go to 2019, you could talk about his match with Ospreay. You go to 2020, you could talk about his matches with really that entire lineup of G130, from his own match with Okada to his match with Kodabushi to his match with Jeff Cobb in the opening round, to his, you can go through the line, to the New Year Dash 2020 match, a tag team match that nobody talks about between himself and Evil versus Ishii and Goto, all the Ishii Goto matches, of course. Bangers all year. Then 2021, we open up. He has one of the best matches of the year with Jeff Cobb at Wrestle Kingdom. Turn around, here he is having another banger with Will Ospreay. Turn around the corner, another banger with Will Ospreay. Then a banger with Okada, apparently. And here we are again, and he's had another banger with Okada. Like, he and Okada had a great match. I don't know about Match City. If you want to make that case, you can. Not me personally, but you can make that case. I thought they had a great match. And the shocker of all shockers was that they actually pulled the trigger with Shingo, had him do one Last of the Dragon, and that was enough to put away the Rainmaker. And Shingo Takagi is your new IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. Now, mind you, when I heard this information out, I was actually on my way to the courthouse. Not because I'm getting sued or anything. I should be suing TVSI from all the damages last year. But, I had jury duty that day. So I was not able to actually watch the show until like a day later. But when I heard the news, it was actually somebody in my Discord chat like, hey, Shingo did it. And I'm like, yeah, I was so excited, man. I was so happy. Shingo's my boy, man. I've been a big fan of Shingo since he came in. So hearing that, I'm like, yes, let's go. It's different. It's new. The question is, will they crack under pressure like they did last year? Because let's think about this. We're in the same spot we were in last year. Dominion 2020. Okada lost to Evil at the New Japan Cup Finals. That led into Evil challenging Tetsuya Naito for the Heavyweight and IC Championship, which Evil won. Everyone's like, oh my god, this is a new era, New Japan, new direction, new this, new that, da-da-da-da-da-da. And then what happened? The rest of the year, all we got was Evil and Naito matches. No real storylines really progressed. We got a bunch of repeat matches. New Japan really just fell after that point. It plummeted after Evil won the championship. I kind of just say it as they cracked under pressure. It's like they had all these eyes on them now that they're back. Now that they have this new guy in the top spot, and they kind of folded. They really didn't know what they wanted to do, and then they got their guys back, and then they kind of still were trying to fumble in the ball somehow. And this is the spot they're in. But now you're 1 year out from that. Evil's in the they fucked Evil up completely. I feel kind of bad for their guy. Evil's in the dumps. Forget about him. Now you have Shingo, who has that star presence, who is one of, if not the greatest wrestler you have on your roster right now. He can deliver on promos backstage, at least the vibe I get. I don't know Japanese, but, I can read subtitles. He delivers on promos. He is a star. He looks like a star. He wrestles like a star. This is a guy you can build the company around, and I've always been under the impression of that. But now that he's actually the World Heavyweight Champion, they can actually go that direction. He's already beaten Okada, so forget about that. If you want to come back to Okada next year, fine, but forget about that. You had 2 matches with Okada already, and he beat him both times. So put Okada out of it. You can't do Will Ospreay because Will Ospreay's injured. We don't know when he's going to be back. So it's like, okay, well, who do you do next? It's like, all right, well, Tanahashi beat him for the Never Championship, so obviously I guess you want to open that can of worms. You can do Shingo and Tanahashi again. They've only had one match ever, so it wouldn't be like, oh, too many matches. Like, oh, you could do Shingo and Tanahashi at some point. Maybe do a tease of, oh, the old ace is coming back to beat the new ace. You could do that story, I guess. That works out. But then you want to go into the bat of, okay, you have Shingo in the top spot. Let's get some new stories in here. Obviously, Evil is a story that, he wants to come back and get it. But you have to rebuild Evil up, so forget about him once again. Naito. Tetsuya Naito and Shingo Takagi had an absolute barn burner of a match in G129 that no one ever talks about. We could revisit that for this championship. Now, is Naito going to win it? No, of course he's not going to win it. Naito's never going to win a championship ever again, so forget about it. But it can get a win under Shingo's belt. Okay, what do you do after Naito? I mean, there's many other people we could think about. You could do Shingo Takagi and Jay White. I want to say they've only had like 1 or 2 matches. They did have a full-out fledged feud with each other, but they had really good matches. So obviously you can do Jay White and Shingo at some point. You can also touch upon maybe a match like a Jeff Cobb versus Shingo again. That's something new. We haven't seen, or like, what, did anyone ever think we would see a Jeff Cobb in heavyweight championship picture? Why the fuck not? He's not going to win. Why not? Or you can do Juice and Shingo. Juice can go back to Japan. We can do Juice versus Shingo. Juice Robinson, is he a main event talent? I think if they pushed him to that level, he could be. He has the talent for it. That's something new. That's something different you can do. You can keep the list going. There's so many other names you can throw in there. Minoru Suzuki and Shingo Takagi have had bangers in the past. Imagine that type of match. You have Rocky Romero. I mean, probably not Rocky Romero. No one's going to really believe that. Fuck, man, you could throw Taichi in there. Even better, because you have the history of him being in another division, you could have guys like Goto, Yoshihashi, and Ishii actually competing for the World Heavyweight Championship. Think about that. I feel like Shingo being in that spot opens up a lot of spots that we really wouldn't think about seeing in that New Japan main event landscape, because he's a fresh face and you can actually experiment with Shingo. The real way New Japan can fuck this up is if they stick to their old ways of having that same crop of guys doing these matches, or they pick one guy and one story and map it out for the rest of the year, which people do not want to see. We saw that last year. It did not work. So hopefully New Japan has mapped this out. I know this was not their original plan, but they have at least attempted to start mapping this out. Come Wrestle Kingdom, or at least come G1 Climax, we'll have a good vision of what that Wrestle Kingdom 16 main event is going to look like. And then we could talk about if New Japan is actually bouncing back or not. But until then, I'm going to keep it neutral, and I'm going to keep my eye on New Japan. The way I see it, they just announced that they're going to be doing Young Lion Gauntlets. Yuya Uemura and Yota Tsuji, 2 of the Young Lions in New Japan. They're apparently are set to go on excursion soon, but of course with COVID going on, they can't really. So New Japan has lined them up to face off in singles matches against some of the top stars. You have guys like Okada, Hiroshi Tanahashi, Kodabushi, Taichi, Zack Sabre Jr. Those guys are lined up to face Uemura and Yota Tsuji on the Kazuna Road Tour, and I'm super, super excited because these young lions always go out there and show their best and kill it every time, even though they don't win, even though they can't really show off all their extravagant moves they're going to do in the future. They are so capable, and I look no further than Shota Umino and Ren Narita in 2018 when I first started to get into New Japan. I fell in love with those guys. I can't say I have the same love for them that I have for, Yota and Yuya, but I really respect them. I think they're really talented, especially Yuya Uemura. I have a really good feeling about that guy in the future. The opening match for his gauntlet is against Minoru Suzuki, a guy who he feuded with last year, like kind of sort of feuded with last year, and they're finally circling back to it. Like, oh, that match, that Young Lion match actually has me excited. So I might actually tune in to some of these shows just for the Young Lion matches. So it's like I'll keep an eye on New Japan. I'm not gonna these last few months I've been very turned off to New Japan. Like I have not been paying attention. Now that you have Shingo as a champion, you're doing something with the Young Lions. It seems like they're trying to have some general direction. I'm willing to keep my eye on these guys and see what's going on. But we'll see what comes in the coming future. We'll see what comes in the coming future. Of course we will, Tyler. Of course we will. But y'all, now that we're done talking about New Japan, let's talk about WWE SummerSlam. So SummerSlam has officially been announced for the Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, Nevada on August 21st. Now, a lot of you are probably sitting in your head like, wait, August 21st is a Saturday? And yes, SummerSlam this year is going to be on a Saturday. And that alone is just like, what? I don't remember the last time WWE had a pay-per-view on a Saturday. So this is actually pretty wild. I'm actually looking. Could even spit it out, bro. I really badly want to say I'm looking forward to this show, but WWE has killed so much of my love and hope and trust for them that it's really hard to get excited for these shows nowadays. But as this show comes around and I see Allegiant Stadium can fit up to 72,000 people, WWE is not going to hold a show with that many people and not put on a very stat card. And I'm already hearing rumors they're going to try to get John Cena versus Roman Reigns. They're going to try to get Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley. I don't know which one of the two is going to happen or both going to happen. But listen, if they're going to pull out all the stops and they're going to give us some semi-good television, then I might watch SummerSlam. Hell, I haven't traveled in a bit. By a bit, I mean 2 months. I haven't traveled in 2 months. Maybe we'll take a little 2-day trip down to Las Vegas for the show. Who knows? I don't know. But I'm really excited for this show. One, to just announce that's just a very straightforward. It's not really too much to it right now. The one other thing that I should say is that they're running adjacent to a Manny Pacquiao fight that's running at the MGM Grand. Well, it's not official yet, but people are saying it's going to be at the MGM Grand, which is like, I mean, I don't know how smart it is for you guys to run adjacent of a boxing exhibition. That of Manny Pacquiao, one of the biggest boxers of all time, or at least in the Philippines. But I think you could arguably say of all time. Like, I don't know about that one, Chief. They're ballsy. They are ballsy. But hey, we'll see. I have more news for you guys when we get more news regarding SummerSlam. But right now, a lot of rumors. And I don't like to talk too much about rumors. All Elite Wrestling. Last week, Dynamite was on Friday, 10 to 12. Fell asleep midway through. Woke up, watched the show on DVR, and I was like, this is a boring show. This is probably one of the most boring AEW shows I've seen in a long time. And I was like, well, every show can't be a winner, but I ain't going to sit here and lie and say it was a good show like some other people would. But then I was shocked to know that this show did the lowest rating ever. AEW pulled in 462,000 people last Friday. Now, I know you might say to yourself, this is really, really sad to look at. TNT might be upset about these numbers, and they may be upset. The way I see it is, AEW is running on a day they're not usually running on, which is Friday. Friday at a different time slot that they're usually running at, 10 p.m. to 12 a.m. And you got to also remember, this show isn't just, a fresh wrestling show. This is fresh off of SmackDown. A lot of wrestling fans might be carrying over. I can't even say a lot because apparently 2 million of 400,000, that ain't a lot. That ain't even that ain't even a quarter, I think. So it's not really that much carrying over, if any carrying over right now. I think, part of it might just be, look at the AEW match cards the last few weeks. I mean, 2 weeks ago, coming out of Double or Nothing wasn't a strong card. This week was not a strong card. I mean, the week coming up tomorrow, like Friday tomorrow, that's not really a strong card either. I don't really think there's an incentive for fans to tune into these shows right now. I think AEW is not really, I don't want to say they're not trying, but they're not putting their best foot forward. I think they're waiting for fans to come back. They're waiting for that July 7th touring show. And I get it, but just because you're on a different night and because you've been preempted doesn't mean you gotta, just kind of drag your feet. It seems like right now they're just kind of dragging their feet for the rest of the month. And that's fine for the people who tune in every single week and have shows and podcasts and all that kind of stuff, so they kind of have to watch it. But for the average viewer, if there's no incentive to tune in because none of the matches appeal to them, then guess what? If it's an inconvenience, they're not tuning in. That's just the fact of the matter. AEW is on a very inconvenient night for a lot of people. People have been used to watching this show Wednesday, 8 to 10 p.m. every single week. You're now asking them to adjust it to the beginning of a weekend, much later in the day, after a wrestling show you've probably already seen. And then you match that with a card that on paper isn't even really worth tuning in for. I'm sorry, but if I'm an average wrestling fan, I ain't tuning in for that. Hell, I was kind of dragging my feet watching Dynamite last week. And I look at the card this week and I'm like, this ain't even... Like, look at the card you're looking at here. The Pinnacle Speaks. We've been seeing that for the last, 3-4 months now. I'm kind of tired of listening to these guys speak. I want to see them wrestle. You have Christian Cage wrestling somebody, which, I'm like, okay, cool. Then you have a 6-man... the card does not really look appealing much at all. So, like I said earlier, AEW seems like they're dragging their feet through the rest of the month, which is, if the numbers indicate anything, it's going to be a rough month for them. And hopefully, which I say hopefully they will bounce back in July, and they'll come back with a lot of heat, a lot of great matches, a lot of great stories. This better be the period of time where they are really, truly mapping out some of the best work they've done, because they're hopping back on the road, back in front of crowds. You want to get that engagement. And the best way to get crowd engagement is to have great shows. So yeah, let this be your break period. Okay, now just know that your break period is going to be the lesser period for you too, but be figuring shit out while you're on your break. That's all I'm going to say about that. Then we're going to end things out here with our Stardom Tokyo Dream Cinderella show, which is going to be happening this coming Sunday. Oh, Saturday, I should say. Saturday. I'm really excited for that show. I've been missing my helping of Stardom. And this show will be live on pay-per-view worldwide. So for people who are actually in the United States, you can actually watch this show live. Don't know how much it's going to be. Probably $40 the last show was. But it will be airing 3 a.m. Eastern time for all my East Coast boys. I'm an East Coast boy myself. Not excited about the time slot, but I've watched and streamed enough Japanese wrestling to be used to waking up early morning and losing sleep. So that don't really surprise me. But let's go over this card real quick. So we have the semifinals of the Cinderella tournament. We have Unagi Sayaka of Cosmic Angels versus Maika of Dano del Mundo. I think this is probably the one that goes either way. You can have Unagi win, and it makes sense for Unagi to win. I mean, they've been pushing Unagi. It's weird because Unagi is far from a great wrestler, in my opinion. But they have this story with her where she went from the least relevant and the outcast of the newest recruits to now being one of the biggest and brightest. I see the story they're trying to tell. I don't know exactly how it's working with, the Stardom fans, because I'm not sitting here on, Joshi Twitter all the time, because Joshi Twitter is fucking weird. I don't know how it's going over with most fans, but I see the story they're telling, and if they're going to continue telling that story, I could very much see Unagi winning this match, but then I also see that Maika got a very rare victory over Julia, who almost never fucking loses. So I'm like, well, you had the momentum with Maika. It makes sense to get her, put her over. So this could go either way. I'm going to go for Unagi to win, though. Then you have the other bracket semifinals of the Cinderella tournament. You have Himeka going up against Saya Kamatani. Now, the goddess of Lucha Libre, the innovator of the shooting star press, and the sole creator of high-flying wrestling that is Saya Kamatani Saya, is going to be gracing us here on the show, and that is just amazing to see. Then you have Himeka. Yep. Oh, let me stop. Let me not throw shade at Himeka. Himeka's alright. I don't know. I don't really see why Himeka needs this win. I think Saya Kamatani's been on the roll ever since. Really, she's been on a roll ever since she got recruited to Queen's Quest last year, and the ball's really been rolling for ever since. The fact that she made it to the semifinals alone should guarantee her a win in this match. Am I right? Dano del Mundo doesn't need to win everything. They win enough as it is. Donald Damundo is fine losing in the semifinal round, so I'm going to say Saya Kamatani wins. That might be me being naive, but I'm going to go with Saya Kamatani to win this match and make it to the semifinals with Unagi, who I'll come back to in a bit. Then we get to the next one. We have Azumi and Momo Watanabe of Queen's Quest versus Tam Nakano and Mina Shirakawa of Cosmic Angels versus Julia and Natsupoi of Dano Damondo. My prediction here is that everybody in this match, Azumi, Tam, Mina, Julia, Natsupoi, they all gang up on Momo. They all lay on top of each other and pin her. I mean, like, literally, everybody pins her one time. They drag her out of the ring. All of a sudden, you see a priest. Then they drag her to the priest. They throw her in the back of the priest. And they horsed her to the nearest graveyard. Because that is basically Momo's character at this point. Taking all these damn L's year round. I would be on the floor if Momo got the win here. But I'm not that naive. I think the win's going to Julia. Julia's probably going to pin Momo, knowing them. But yeah, I think Julia and Natsupoi get the win here. Match after this, we have Natsuko Tora, Fukujin Death, Konami, Ruka, and Saki Kashima of Oedo Tai versus Mayu Iwatani, Hikari Noah. I might be mixing the name up. I think it's Hikari Noah. Starlight Kid, Hanan, and Ceilings Rin Karukura of Stars. I'm excited to see Rin. Haven't seen her since the All-Star Dream Show, and haven't seen her in, real action since the AEW Women's Tournament. So excited to see this match happening. I'm going to say Stars wins. I haven't really been following the story all too much, but Stars gets the W. Then we get to the two most important matches on the show. We have the finals of the Cinderella tournament. As I speculated, it will be Saya Kamatani of Queen's Quest versus Unagi Sayaka of Cosmic Angels. This one also can go either way. I think it might be a bit of a rocket kind of push for Unagi if she wins the whole Cinderella tournament. I wouldn't go that far. So, other than Julie, I think it goes to Saya Kamatani. Saya Kamatani, yes, she did, in fact, face off against Utami at the last All-Star Dream Cinderella show. So, it would be a rematch. However, with a Cinderella tournament, your wish could be anything. It doesn't have to be the World Championships. You could challenge Tam for the Wonder Championship. Because remember, she did eliminate Tam in the first round. So realistically, I think it makes sense for Saya Kamatani to win this match and then challenge Tam for the Wonder Championship, say at the next Cinderella show, and possibly win. I think that makes a lot of sense to me. Instead of doing Saya and Utami again, because I don't see Saya being the World of Stardom champion, not this soon at least. So I think that's where we're heading. Saya wins and challenges Tam at the next show. And then in the main event, you have Utami Hayashishida of Queen's Quest versus Shiori of Dano Damondo for the World of Stardom Championship. Utami Hayashishida, it is great to finally see the world champion in the main event. I know Stardom has kind of lost sight of putting the world champion in the main event slot, but here we are. I am happy. Clap it up. Clap it up for Stardom. I know it's been tough for them. Haven't remembered to do that because, Julia exists on the roster. But hey, good on them. Good on them. So Utami finally gets her main event spot back after months of waiting, even though she's the world champion. And she goes up against Shiori, arguably one of the best wrestlers, if not the best wrestler in Dano Damondo. Does Shiori win? I don't think so. Now, Shiori has had a world championship match in the past against Mayu Iwatani, which of course she lost. This is her second chance. I don't really know the story because I don't watch every single Stardom show. But I don't see Utami losing it to Shiori of all people. I think if Utami were to lose to anybody, it would likely be Julia. I think at some point we're headed towards a Mayu versus Julia match. And I think the gateway to that is probably Julia beating Utami at some point. When that is, I don't know. Because Julia ain't winning this tournament. She already lost to Micah. So that's soon. That's probably on the horizon at some point. Let me not speak into existence, actually. Let's forget I even said that. I think Utami just retains the World of Stardom Championship and keeps her reign going. I will be, I'm not too sure if I'll be live for this show, but I will be watching it. I will be live tweeting. If I'm not live for it, I'll let you guys know a little bit later in the week. But guys, this was Chill Spill episode 51. What do you guys think? Comment down below. Let your boy know. I love you guys always, and I will see you all later. Peace out, guys.